Good day, everybody. It's November 18th. I had a friend of mine who has a traco come in and clean out my little dugout at the north side of my alkali run. And when he was leaving, I got him to do this trench on the way out. And I'll fill it back in afterwards, but I have a plan. I'm going to install a wet well, and as you can see down here, it's kind of looking like about 3 feet up. That's my water line right now. That's where the water's coming in. Over there, there's water coming in. Over there, there's water coming in. It's pretty shiny back there in that corner, and I can see water running down the bank over there. So I wasn't quite prepared because I kind of thought of this halfway through stream. And I thought, man, I need to put a wet well in here at the same time. So I'm going to take you over and show you what we've got going here. So a couple of years ago, a friend of mine who's in the oil field called me up and said, would you be needing any pipe? We're down in the area and we got some spare pipe and it's got to go. And I said, well, what do you want for it? He says, just get it out of here. Okay, that's my kind of price. This is 6-inch yellow jacket pipeline pipe for underground. This is a 30-foot chunk. This is probably 20 feet or so, 25 feet on an gives me a 90. I just welded them back together. I don't know. I think for what I'm doing, that weld will hold just perfect. My little portable welder does a nice job. So we're gonna extend this out into the dugout, and that 45 is gonna come up to the surface, and then we're gonna bury it back in. Dave, my friend, had to go with his backhoe, but he said if I needed him, he'd come back and stop by on the way back and fill it for me. But the thing is, I think I want a load of gravel back in there after I get the pipe in place and put it all nice in gravel bed so that it stays nice, because clay shifts as it settles in. And not that it's going to hurt that pipe. That's 3/8 pipe. But let's be serious here. I'm kind of trying to do this once, and I don't want to be making a mess. So the long pipe is going to extend out into the dugout, and the 45 is going to come up and do its 45 thing. And come up to the surface so that we can pump in all weather. It'll be frost free because the water line will be low enough and in the ground enough and getting enough geothermal from underneath to not freeze up. And I don't know if I'm ever going to need it, but I'll tell you what, there's no better time to do it than at the time when you're putting it in. So if you like this idea, or if you like what I'm doing, or you like just hearing about the crazy shit that I'm pulling off, like, subscribe, share, and please comment. It's interesting to have a conversation and see what people think. And I know I don't do everything 100% right, but you know what? This is kind of neat stuff that we have just kind of gotten into in our operation. I know it's not new. Steve Kenyon's been doing wet wells for a few years and highly recommends them, and he's kind of a grazing guru. Now the trick is for me to get this pipe down in there without a track hoe around to give me a hand. I think I can do it. I think a long rope and the quad and the winch and the tractor and maybe a buddy out here helping me, you know, push, pull, and drag. I think we'll get it to where we want to be, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, by spring, without any runoff in here, I think we're going to get 4 feet of water in here, because and 4 feet of water in a hole this size, if it's still coming in, is pretty good. But what happened is my cows got access to this last time I had it dug, and they blocked off my spring, and well, it turned into kind of a not so productive water hole. This time I am ready, and I am able, and I know how to keep them out, and I know of the technology, and can get the technology to pump out of it summer, winter, spring, fall. I don't care. The cattle aren't coming back in here again, and if they do, I got him to slope that side for me so that it's not so straight up and down and won't fill so fast. But I don't think that's going to make a difference, because I don't want the cattle in here anymore. If you can keep the cattle out of your water, you're going to have better water. So you wonder what I do in times after the grazing is kind of finished and done, and I still have my 10 head here, and they don't need this year. They're fine where they're at, and they got water where they're at. And November 18th, and all of our water is still open. We haven't had to worry about ice or nothing yet, and it's pretty damn good. Next week, some colder weather's coming in, but you know, it's getting to be that time of year. I think we can take it, but I'd sure like to get this closed up before that comes to be. And I think I can get it done. I've got a delivery day for doing some beef runs this week, and I got to line up somebody to come in with a load of decent pit run to drop into this, around this pipe, and then we can fill her up with clay above the seepage line, which is going to be, you know, it's going to take a bit of gravel. Probably about 20 yards. But that's okay. We have the technology. And like I said, if I get that in place, at least it won't go anywhere. I can always get Dave to come back and work on this on his way home. He had to go do another dugout or two, I think, south of me here. And he did say if I need him to come back, he'd come back. So I might just have to take him up on that. Like I said, we're doing this once, and I don't want to have to Mickey Mouse it. I want it done right. So I think we're gonna try to do it right. And it's a lot bigger hole than it was. It's at least double the size. Okay, like, subscribe, share, comment. Let me know what you think. Call me crazy. Tell me it's a good idea. Tell me it's a bad idea. Tell me it'll never work. Whatever. I don't care. Just comment. Yeah, it's a good chunk of pipe. It's pretty much overkill for what we need here. I mean, you could have done this with PVC and not probably ran into any trouble. But the price was right on this, and I already had it in my possession. And I believe in using what you got, and it sat there for a couple of years and hasn't done a thing. And if this works, the next dugout I get, I'm going to be prepared, and it's going to go in the same time the track goes here. So I wasn't prepared. I wasn't thinking. In fact, this whole getting the dugout cleaned out came to fruition because the fellow that rents my land wanted to bury some rock piles. And there weren't very many rock piles, and they weren't very big. And I'll tell you what, it really wasn't worth anybody coming to do it unless something else was involved. So I said, well, I'll get a dugout cleaned out while he's here. And it's only a half a mile away, so he got the machinery down here and he did this. And so I was not prepared. But the next time, I will be. Okay, anyway, I have the technology to do this stuff. I just sometimes got to get my so-called arse in gear and do it. But once I get it done, I feel good about it. So, talk to you later. Have a great day. Well, we're going to try to pull this thing into the dugout. I'm pretty sure gravity will help us, but we're going to winch. Isn't it amazing what you can do when you can quad things around? You got both ends capped. Pulling with a sacrifice rope, but I don't care if it ever comes out or not. Gonna pull her in. Gotta back out. Trying to pull a tractor and a pipe. Alright, she in for now. I can always straighten that top stuff up with the tractor when we fill in. Now I gotta get this thing out of here. Should be fun. Talk to you later.